Hello, and a very warm welcome back to Grow English Mastery. My name is Scarlett, and it's wonderful to have you here with me today. Have you ever seen two people who were once close friends or partners have a very public disagreement? It can be awkward and uncomfortable to watch. Now, imagine if those two people were among the most powerful individuals on the planet. Today, we are diving into a modern story of power, politics, and personality. It's the story of the public. Conflict between a former United States President, Donald Trump, and one of the world's wealthiest tech visionaries, Elon Musk. This story is more than just headlines and drama. For us as English learners, it's a perfect real-world case study. Why? Because the language used in business and politics can be challenging. Understanding how people report on events, express disagreement, and talk about cause and effect is a key skill at the B1 level. This story gives us a rich context to explore exactly that. So, here are our goals for today's lesson. First, we will explore the story of Trump and Musk's relationship, from a powerful alliance to a public feud. Second, we will learn 10 essential vocabulary words related to conflict, business, and politics that you can use in professional and formal situations. Third, and this is our main grammar focus, we will master the art of reported speech. That means learning how to accurately report what other people have said, which is essential for telling stories and sharing information. Finally, I will give you practical techniques to practice all 4 of your English skills using today's topic. This is a fascinating story, and by the end of our lesson, you'll not only understand it better, but you'll also feel much more confident in your ability to discuss complex current events in English. Let's get started. Our story begins with what many people saw as an unlikely but powerful alliance. On one side, we had Donald Trump, a real estate mogul and reality television star who became the President of the United States. On the other, we had Elon Musk, the brilliant but eccentric CEO of groundbreaking companies like Tesla, which makes electric cars, and SpaceX, which builds rockets for space travel. They seem to come from different worlds, but for a time, their paths crossed in a very significant way. When President Trump began his term, he promised to run the country more like a business. He wanted to eliminate waste and make the government more efficient. To help him with this goal, he turned to Elon Musk. Musk was given a special role as an advisor, leading a new group officially called the Department of Government Efficiency. The goal of this task force was to review government operations and find ways to save taxpayer money. This was a major story. The partnership was seen as a sign of a new way of doing things in Washington. Musk, a symbol of future technology and innovation, was now working inside the government. He took the job seriously. His team recommended closing several government departments that were considered redundant or inefficient, which led to significant changes and, for many people, the loss of their jobs. Throughout this period, President Trump strongly supported Musk. They were often seen together at the White House, in the Oval Office, or the Cabinet Room. They even traveled together on the presidential airplane, Air Force One. To the public, they looked like a strong team. Their friendship seemed solid. After about 130 days, Musk's official advisory role ended, they parted on friendly terms, with suggestions that Musk might collaborate with the government again in the future. President Trump later stated that he and Musk had a great relationship. But then, things began to change. The first crack in their alliance appeared over a disagreement about a government spending plan. This was a major piece of policy that outlined the country's budget. Elon Musk publicly condemned the plan. He didn't just express his concerns privately. He used his public platform to argue against it for over a week. He believed it was fiscally irresponsible. This was a direct challenge to President Trump's administration. For the first time, the two men were on opposite sides of a major issue, and the disagreement was out in the open. From there, the situation began to escalate quickly. What started as a policy disagreement soon turned into a personal and public feud. The polite professional relationship was over. It was replaced by a war of words. President Trump openly expressed his disappointment. He told reporters that Musk had acted strangely and even said that he had gone crazy. He made it clear that Musk's time helping the government was finished. Elon Musk, a master of social media, took the fight to his platform, X, formerly known as Twitter. He wrote dozens of posts about the conflict, sharing his thoughts and even memes with his millions of followers. The fight was now happening in real time, online, for the entire world to see. The words became stronger, and soon, they turned into threats. These were not small threats. They had potentially huge consequences. President Trump suggested that the government might stop working with Musk's companies. This was a serious threat because companies like SpaceX have multi-billion-dollar contracts with the U.S. government to launch satellites and send astronauts to space. Losing these contracts could be devastating for Musk's businesses. In an act of retaliation, Elon Musk threatened to decommission or stop using a critical SpaceX spacecraft that the American space program relied on. The business world reacted immediately. The value of Tesla's shares on the stock market experienced high volatility. The price dropped by 14%, a massive loss that pushed the company's total valuation below $1 trillion. This showed that the public fight was having serious, real-world financial consequences. Eventually, Musk seemed to backtrack on his biggest threat, announcing that the crucial SpaceX program would continue. And there was even a moment when a chance for peace seemed possible, after another prominent businessman suggested they should reconcile. But the damage had been done. The story of their alliance had turned into a cautionary tale about how quickly relationships can break down at the highest levels of power, and how public conflicts can have far-reaching effects. Now, to better understand and discuss this complex story, let's enrich our vocabulary. Here are 10 important words from the narrative we just explored. Our first word is alliance. A-L-L-I-A-N-C-E. An alliance is a union or association formed for mutual benefit, especially between countries or organizations. For example, at first, Trump and Musk formed a powerful alliance. You could also say, the two companies formed a strategic alliance to enter a new market. Next, we have the verb to escalate. E-S-C-A-L-A-T-E. To escalate means to become or make something more intense, serious, or violent. For instance, the disagreement between them began to escalate into a public fight. Another example is, the protest quickly escalated when the police arrived. Our third word is to publicly condemn. C-O-N-D-E-M-N. To condemn something is to express complete disapproval of it, usually in public. For example, Elon Musk publicly condemned the government's new spending plan. You could also say, the international community condemned the attack. Fourth, we have retaliation. R-E-T-A-L-I-A-T-I-O-N. Retaliation is the action of harming someone because they have harmed you. It's a form of revenge. For example, Musk's threat to stop the space program was seen as an act of retaliation. Another example sentence is, the company fired him, and in retaliation, he sued them. Our fifth word is to backtrack. B-A-C-K-T-R-A-C-K. To backtrack means to reverse your previous position or opinion. For instance, after making the threat, Musk later seemed to backtrack on his decision. You could also say, the politician had to backtrack on his promise when he realized it was too expensive. Number 6 is volatility. V-O-L-A-T-I-L-I-T-Y. Volatility is the quality of being likely to change, rapidly and unpredictably, especially for the worse. It's often used when talking about the stock market. For example, the conflict caused great volatility in the price of Tesla's shares. Another example, the political situation has led to high market volatility. Seventh on our list is consequences. C-O-N-S-E-Q-U-E-N-C-E-S. Consequences are the results or effects of a particular action or condition. For example, the public fight had serious financial consequences for Musk's company. You could also say, if you don't study for the exam, you'll have to face the consequences. Our eighth word is allegiance. A-L-L-E-G-I-A-N-C-E. Allegiance is loyalty or commitment to a person, group, country, or cause. For instance, his allegiance was to his own business interests, not to the president's political agenda. Another example, soldiers must swear allegiance to their country. Number 9 is to leverage. L-E-V-E-R-A-G-E. As a verb, to leverage means to use something to its maximum advantage. For example, Musk tried to leverage his importance to the space program during the fight. You could also say, she needs to leverage her connections to find a better job. And our final word is tension. T-E-N-S-I-O-N. Tension is a state of strained relationships between people or groups, or a feeling of nervousness and worry. For instance, the tension between the two powerful men was clear to everyone. Another example is, you could feel the tension in the room before the big announcement. Now that we have a solid grasp of this key vocabulary, let's look at the grammar that is essential for reporting on events like this. The next section is our grammar focus on reported speech. So, what is reported speech? We use it when we want to tell someone what another person said, but without using their exact words. It's also known as indirect speech. This is an incredibly important skill, because in real life, we are constantly reporting conversations, news, and stories. Let's Start with the basics. Look at this sentence in direct speech. The exact words someone said. Trump said, "Elon is a brilliant man." Now, to change this to reported speech, we make a few changes. He said that Elon was a brilliant man. What did you notice? The quotation marks are gone. The word "that" is often added, though it's sometimes optional. And most importantly, the verb tense changed. Is became was. This is called backshifting. Tense backshifting is the most important rule in reported speech. When the reporting verb, like said or told, is in the past, the verb tense in the reported clause usually moves one step back into the past. Let's look at the pattern. The present simple becomes the past simple. Direct. I don't like the plan. Reported. He said that he didn't like the plan. The present continuous becomes the past continuous. Direct. The company is losing money. Reported. They claimed the company was losing money. The present perfect becomes the past perfect. Direct. I have made a decision. Reported. He announced that he had made a decision. The past simple also usually becomes the past perfect. Direct. We worked well together. Reported. He said that they had worked well together. And modal verbs change too. Will becomes would. Can becomes could. May becomes might. Direct. I will stop the program. Reported. He threatened that he would stop the program. Direct. We can save money. Reported. He insisted that they could save money. Besides verb tenses, pronouns also need to change to keep the meaning logical. Direct. Trump said, "My relationship with him is over." Reported. Trump said that his relationship with him was over. My changes to his. Time and place words might also need to change depending on the context. Today might become that day. Tomorrow might become the next day. Here might become there. Now, just using the verb said all the time is correct, but it's a bit boring. To make your English more precise and sophisticated, you should use a variety of reporting verbs. The verb you choose can show the speaker's intention. For example, instead of just, "He said no," you could use, "He refused," "He denied," "He rejected." Let's look at some powerful reporting verbs we can use for the Trump and Musk story. To state or declare something officially, we can use announced or declared example. Musk announced that the SpaceX program would continue. To say something. With force or certainty, we can use insisted or maintained. Example. He insisted that the spending plan was a bad idea. To accuse someone of something, we can use claimed or alleged. Alleged is often used when something has not been proven. Example. Trump claimed that Musk had acted strangely. To offer an idea or a plan, we can use suggested or proposed. Example. A third party suggested that the two men should make peace. And to talk about threats, we can use the powerful verb threatened. Example. The president threatened to end all government contracts with the companies. Using these different verbs will make your speaking and writing much more dynamic and descriptive. It adds a layer of meaning that said just doesn't have. So, Now that we understand the rules and have some new verbs, how can we practice this? Let's talk about some practical techniques for each of your 4 core skills. For your listening practice, I recommend finding a short news report on YouTube or a podcast about a current event. Listen to it once for the main idea. Then, listen, again with a pen and paper. Try to write down any examples of reported speech you hear. What reporting verbs did the journalist use? Announced, claimed, stated. This will train your ear to notice this important structure. For your speaking practice, find a friend or a language partner. Choose a recent news story that you both find interesting. Your task is to tell your partner about the story, but you must use reported speech. For example, instead of just describing what happened, report what people said. The Prime Minister announced that, or the CEO insisted that. This will force you to practice back-shifting tenses and using different reporting verbs in a natural conversation. For reading, the task is similar. Find an online news article about politics or business. As you read, use a highlighter to mark every instance of reported speech. Look at the reporting verb used. Ask yourself, why did the writer choose suggested instead of said? How does it change the meaning? This active reading will deepen your understanding of the nuances of the E language. Finally, for your writing practice, I want you to become a journalist. In the comment section below, I want you to write a very short news report, just 3 or 4 sentences, about our story today. Your report must use at least 2 different reporting verbs and correct reported speech. For instance, you could write something like, Today, sources reported that the feud between the 2 leaders had worsened. An insider claimed that President Trump was very disappointed and had threatened to take serious action. I will read your comments and give you some feedback. Now, let's take a moment to discuss the real-world application of this story. Why does it matter? This isn't just gossip about famous people. This story is a powerful lesson in communication, reputation, and the incredible influence of words. It shows how personal relationships can impact national politics and global business. The way both men used public platforms to leverage their positions and attack each other demonstrates the high stakes of leadership communication. In our own lives, whether in business, at school, or in personal relationships, the way we communicate during a disagreement has real consequences. This story serves as a cautionary tale. Words have power, and in the digital age, a public fight can escalate with damaging speed. The lesson for us is to choose our words carefully and to understand that conflict, especially in a professional setting, requires thoughtful and strategic communication, not emotional retaliation. And with that, we are approaching the end of our deep dive into this fascinating story. You have done an amazing job today, and we have accomplished a lot together. Let's quickly summarize the key takeaways from our lesson. First, we explored the dramatic story of the alliance and conflict between Donald Trump and Elon Musk, using it as a real-world example of complex communication. Second, we added 10 powerful B1 level vocabulary words to our collection, including words like escalate, retaliation, volatility, and to leverage, which will help you discuss business and politics more effectively. Third, we focused on our key grammar point. Reported speech. We learned the rules of back-shifting tenses and the importance of using a variety of reporting verbs like insist, claim, threaten, and suggest to make our language more precise. Before we finish, I want to share one final thought. Learning. A language is a journey, and sometimes, like the story we heard today, it can be full of challenges and moments of tension. You might feel frustrated when you can't find the right word or when a grammar rule seems too complex. In those moments, I want you to be kind to yourself. Remember that every expert was once a beginner. Every mistake you make is not a failure. It is a sign that you are pushing your boundaries and learning. Have the courage to speak, even if you are not perfect. Have the confidence to write, even if you need to check the grammar. Your progress is not measured in one day, but over weeks and months of consistent, patient effort. Believe in your ability to grow. Thank you so much for joining me here at Grow English Mastery. I sincerely hope this lesson was both interesting and useful for you. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment below with your writing practice or just to say hello. If you know another English learner who might appreciate this lesson, please feel free to share it with them. We are a community, and we grow stronger together. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, please click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next lesson. My name is Scarlett. Keep practicing, stay positive, and I cannot wait to see you again right here at Grow English Mastery. Goodbye for now.